Hello, welcome to Wasteland Radiocast, broadcasting straight from Big MT. Now, we have two special guests today. Our first guest is a random NCR trooper who we picked off the highway. We believe he was escaping from the massacre at Camp Searchlight, and we can't know that for sure. All we can know for sure is that his name is Aiden.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
And our second guest for today is a lobotomite who walked up to our studio and started harassing us. So we felt it might have been good to just have him on the show and be crazy. Introduce yourself, Xander.
He's kind of messing with stuff. I think he's messing with the dials right now, bro. Should you stop him?
Bro, get away from the dials. They're very important, bro. I think we should begin with our sort of disclaimer. So, while we really enjoy the Fallout series, we do not have a lot of experience with the Fallout games before Fallout 3. So we won't be talking about Fallout 1 and 2 and, the tactics stuff, anything before 3. And we will not be talking about the public beta known as Fallout 76. Because let's be honest, it's basically still in beta.
Lobotomite, put that down. No.
Lobotomite, you better stop. Is that a proton axe, bro?
No.
Oh no, he's gonna axe our equipment.
He's gonna ask us a question.
He's gonna axe us a question. Yeah, bro. So I guess we should start with explaining what the Fallout games are. So they take place in sort of an alternate universe, where instead of the Cold War progressing as it did, nuclear technology was developed a bunch, which led to an age of prosperity, but then there were resource shortages, and then the US got in a war with China. So then the US was basically about to make a really big decisive move to help them win the war. China was like, we're gonna nuke you.
The lobotomite's here. You can actually speak. Oh. Yeah, you put down the proton axe, yeah.
Yeah, bro, put down the proton axe. So yeah, everyone nukes each other. People survive in underground vaults. Some people who are exposed to a lot of radiation turn into basically zombies with skin sloughing off and such and such. So it's basically just the nuked wastelands of America, and you get to play influential figures in various areas. In Fallout 3, that is the wastelands of our capital, DC. In Fallout New Vegas, it's obviously the Mojave Desert and the general Vegas area. And in Fallout 4,
and the dam.
It's in Boston, and it feels less important what you do there, but
But we'll go off on that later.
We plan to go off on it later. So I began Fallout. My first experience was with Fallout 4. One of my brothers got it as a Christmas gift. I played it more than him, and I really enjoyed it. And then eventually he got Fallout New Vegas on PS3. I played it more than him. I enjoyed it. And so that's how I got into the Fallout series. What about you, Aiden?
Alright, so basically my grandmother bought me a Fallout 4 I'm pretty sure for getting good grades, something like that. But I started playing it on PlayStation 4, and I had a lot of fun with it. But this really isn't the most influential part where I was introduced to Fallout. Because basically later on, because I heard this lobotomite, because I think I met him before, basically talking about New Vegas. So I ended up buying that, messing around, and I ended up coming to really like that one more.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Xander?
Halloween night, yeah, it was a Halloween night, back in 6th grade, with my old crappy laptop. I was browsing the Steam store, and I had a gift card, and on sale was Fallout 3. I was like, this game looks cool, and so I bought it, and that was that.
Truly a great beginning.
Yeah, so all of us had very good beginnings to the Fallout series, but I think we should note that the lobotomite's brother began on Fallout 76.
Yeah, on PS4, his friend was remote playing or something like that. Fallout 76 to him. He's like, oh, it actually looks like a good game, and I guess you can play, you can share your games or whatever. And so he's playing it, and he's like, this is so good. This is really good. I don't know why you didn't get me into Fallout earlier. I'm like,
Oh,
this isn't. It's not like the best thing ever. There's like you gotta play some other stuff like Fallout New Vegas or like 3 or 4 or just anything but 76.
that reminds me. So my father, veteran of the first Battle of Hoover Dam, who he started playing like Fallout 4 like on the PlayStation 4. So he started like out first. He's like, I don't like the way like having to conserve ammo and like the survival. But since basically when he was like off like on like remote like station, basically like he got like way more into like Fallout. And now Fallout 4 is basically like one of his favorite games. He would play that a lot since there really wasn't anything to do where he was stationed other than basically drink, walk out, or potentially
Honestly, I'm
play games.
surprised they had PS4s out where just in remote station.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so I think my favorite Fallout game is New Vegas. I'm pretty sure it's yours, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
New Vegas is
Mm.
the best. And then Fallout 2. Fallout 2 comes in at a close second.
Well,
Yeah, because
yeah,
this
neither of us have
lobotomite, he
experience.
can bring in more experiences from like the first like 2 Fallouts and also the cringe 76.
Yeah.
Very cringe
Yeah.
76, a very regrettable day. E3 that year, I was very excited because of the Please
Hey.
Stand By.
Oh.
Yeah.
I tuned into E3 and Todd Howard got up on the stage and was like,
God, Howard.
it's fully online. And I'm like, oh no, what in the goddamn?
I had high expectations.
Yeah.
I ruined it for myself.
What you
Basically, I'm
expect
like,
is from Alpha
I knew it was going to be bad, but I
Mhm.
didn't want to believe it. And then, like when I first got it, I'm like, this is really mediocre. And then the more I played, I'm like, this isn't. This is like way like rushed through development. It was
Yeah.
super rushed and
Mhm.
like.
So yeah, you see, me with being like ape brains, so like games that like kind of looter shooter. Like the only problem, like I might enjoy it for a little bit longer than like probably you, like Xander. But I don't know, I'm not gonna waste money on it.
Yeah. It was just missing. It was honestly just missing the like
NPCs.
NPCs, but also like the combat system. Like they didn't
Mhm.
really know what they were doing. Like they couldn't decide between PvP or PvE. Like
Yeah.
they didn't know they didn't like make a server for each. Instead they did like a thing where you have to like consent to fighting, where like you can shoot someone and like it does very very little damage, but if you like fully load like all the ammo you have into them, like every clip you have, you might be able to kill them. And then unless they shoot back, in which it engages like actual combat, which
But
I
they
think
have
is
the
kind of
advantage.
stupid because it's like why would you, yeah, like why? It just doesn't work. And like
Yeah.
and they I don't know. I played it. I gave it up like pretty quickly on like maybe 2 weeks after it
Mhm.
launched, and then after that I came back when they added the battle royale mode, which was like kind of fun, but also
Yeah.
like not very fitting for like the kind of game that it is. So you know.
And also, like, yeah, so you also can't take mods off of weapons, which is one of the best parts, or like one of the only like good parts of like Fallout 4. Was like if you found like a cool gun with like a more powerful receiver, you just take it off and put it on yours.
Yeah,
But like,
Fallout 4's
'cause
modding system worked really
we're
well.
talking about gun modding, not like game.
Yeah, not game modding.
That'll come
Uh,
later.
because that system was so good, people are basically trying to retroactively add it to previous Fallout games because it was an actually good mechanic. Because it honestly was a really good driving factor as the main gameplay loop of Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Because I've done playthroughs with duplication glitches and without duplication glitches, and it's two different experiences. Because Fallout 4, where you're actually scrounging for everything, you have a good reason to go out and explore the Wasteland, which is what they want you to do, and, you know, go places, find things you need, go do random quests. If you're playing Fallout 4 with duplication glitches, you basically only need to go get one of the resource, and then it just breaks the game, because the only thing mainly preventing you from getting overpowered weapons is the lack of resources. Once you have those resources, all of your weapons get way too powerful, way too fast.
Yeah. So with that, like that gameplay loop, it's like say like a game like to for example like New Vegas, like its driving factor to explore was way more like the stories, like that was its main driving factor. Cause like you actually felt like you were having an impact on the story,
Yeah,
like
and
choosing those factions.
the slides
Oh
at the
yeah.
end. That's so good
That
because
was.
like
Mm-hmm.
there's like it'll talk specifically about each slide and like that's super cool I think because you'll have an
Yeah.
impact on like a single thing and it'll be like you did this but this happened and like I don't know like and so each time you can like do different things and have like completely different slides at the end that like recap the
Yeah.
story. The only thing I don't like about New Vegas though is like once it's over, it's over.
It's
Like,
over.
or I guess three. I don't remember. Three has a
Three
review.
Broken Steel allows you to continue after.
Oh yeah, that's a mod, right? The
No, it's a DLC.
oh okay yeah. I don't own Game of the Year for Fallout 3, so I've only played the like game and
Mm-hmm.
not the DLC. But
Yeah.
like yeah, with New Vegas you can't like once it's over, and like there aren't really any mods or anything
Yeah.
that like show you the consequences or allow you to play like
Well, there
after.
is one that allows you to play after. It's like continue after game end.
Yeah, but it doesn't
But
really
it's
like
not. It doesn't have
yeah.
the same impact because your actions are kind of pointless.
I mean,
Because
Fallout
like
4
this.
goes in the opposite direction where it leaves itself too open-ended because it wants the player to be able to play after the ending,
Yeah.
which,
Okay. So let me to go off for a second with like the impactfulness on Fallout 4.
yeah,
So you know
naturally.
the faction, or lack thereof.
Hmm.
Basically, you know the factions. So you got you got the Brotherhood. They are basically fascists, like just purely like there's no real depth to them. So you got the Institute. They're like small people, but they make synthetic humans, which some people consider like slavery. Okay, and you got the Railroad. They say they're basically all they are just saying we rescue synths because the Institute bad. Then you got the wacky Minutemen, which are basically legitimately a military dictatorship, which is very unstable and prone to falling apart, which are just good guys. They don't have any depth because they're not large enough to have an impact on the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're
only
also
one,
small.
the only faction that I feel has actual depth to at least like their impactfulness on the wasteland and like whether it's good or not to side with them is the Institute, the group
Mm-hmm.
who's supposed to be just the evil boogeymen of the game.
Yeah.
Like if you side with them, you actually learn a lot more depth about like their actions and like things that like people in the wasteland are like terrified of them for were
Yeah.
actually mistakes.
Yeah, and
Cause,
like I would also argue that like the Brotherhood of Steel has like some depth, but most of that depth
yeah.
is given from other games, and like in this one
Yeah.
it's just like big airship go burn, like that's all
Yeah.
it is basically,
Yeah.
and like and they don't really do anything. Like their quests are literally just go around and shoot like mutants and
Yeah. It's like ooh,
Siths and
mutant
like
bad. Ooh. It's like
yeah, it's just like it's literally commit like
war
it's literally
crimes.
just yeah. It's not. It's like it's just like okay. It's not very. They're like you
Oh,
can and like no one has like any sort of like moral like there's no like
yeah.
everything's kind of like morally gray in a lot of ways. Like basically it feels like it's just good and bad and
Yeah.
like no one really has like a thing that might make them a little better or a little worse. Like Brotherhood of Steel is kind of like okay these people are bad and like the or like the railroad's kind of like oh these people are good because like they're like or they're more like you know like good and
Morally
it's just
good.
yeah it's not
Well,
very like
yeah.
fleshed out in that
Well,
way.
yeah,
Okay.
they're like, oh, they're good because wasn't the Underground Railroad in real life good? See,
Okay, so
these
let me
people
go
are
off on
very
that for a second.
virtuous.
So basically, like Fallout 4, like with the real, and the issue, it's making it like the hot take slavery bad, but it doesn't actually have any slavery. Like all the other previous games have like slavery and slave as at least a like a part in the game. Like you literally have a whole like Paradise Point in Fallout 3, which is like literally only slavers.
Yeah,
And
and
you
like
have like Caesar's Legion.
comparing the quote unquote slavery of the synths to
Which they were
the
created.
to the slavery in other Fallout games. Like slavery
Yeah.
that the Legion does is like basically turning people into pack animals, like loading them
Yeah.
up with pounds and pounds of stuff, making them fight in gladiatorial combat, like putting them in poor working conditions.
Or like
The
selling them off as
Institute,
breeders.
Yeah.
to make more soldiers.
Yeah. The Institute
It's like,
is creating these synthetic humans, letting them work in a clean environment, providing them with
hmm
repair when they start to break down, and offering basically just protection in general. So it's not like one side. Not to mention, they're not doing really hard labor. The
hmm
Institute, like, is scientifically advanced. They don't
yeah,
need, like, big farming fields. They, aren't, like, making plantations of these synths. They're having them like be janitors and food
hmm
vendors. While maybe they could get compensation or something. I mean, the compensation is the protection and amenities of
hmm
the institute.
Cause like basically they weren't made to be like to use because like they don't have like the equipment. They're just made to like solve like the problems like the lack of manpower essentially, and not like because like oh we're too good for that. Okay, like so another thing with the Fallout 4 like the factions, one of them is it's not really a faction 'cause it's the Gunners. They were so interesting because they were a mercenary group. Like they had a real rank structure. It felt like they actually had power and organization, which a lot of things like the Minutemen lack. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense for why they shoot the lone survivor on sight because that's they're shooting a potential customer who will pay them or someone they can get to do mercenary work so they can get paid. Like the Talon Company in Fallout 3, it made sense for why they're attacking you. They were paid to do that. Like you literally have like if you have good karma, you like get attacked by them and there's like contracts that say like oh kill him, he's a good two shoes. It's because you're damaging basically who they work for. But the Gunners, they're just evil. They're just raiders with like military equipment and better guns.
Yeah. And you can
They
also
mm,
do stuff to side with the Talon Company. And like
yeah.
even like the raiders in Fallout New Vegas with the fiends, there were a couple chances you got to interact with fiends that
Like
weren't
Motor
super
Runner.
aggressive. Yeah, like Motor Runner. And the fiends also have a legitimate reason to shoot on sight. They're very hostile.
And they're all
Uh,
like high.
yeah, they're all
Like,
like super drugged up and
hmm
protective of their stuff because
yeah,
it's a wasteland. But the Gunners have, this
yeah,
establishment. Like it's seen in the Nuka World DLC, like they send out groups to like
yeah. Scout.
do missions and like they send rescue groups like an actual military would.
And the thing is, they also know like strategies because they have like they always go for like the highways. And also, I'm pretty sure in the game they have like their blood types. Like some of them have like tattooed onto their forehead, which
Mm-hmm.
is very like organized. Even though I'm pretty sure they stole that from basically that got the idea from like history. Because I think one of the fascist German groups, like one of their military units, did that, like the SS.
I
But
mean, if
still, it makes sense
if
for like the wasteland.
yeah, because in the wasteland, it's not like you have comprehensive medical
Like you
records.
don't have like tests you can just do because basically like if you get some of the wrong blood, like the body would essentially reject it, and that could lead to like you losing a soldier, which looks
Mm-hmm.
like these guys actually have time spent into training, even though some of them just rush at you with batons. But that's just gameplay.
Yeah, obviously. And switching over, segueing over to the gameplay, Fallout 4, for all of its flaws, has arguably the best combat in the
Yeah,
games,
Yeah, I
at
would
least in the
heavily agree.
3D games.
yeah,
Um,
because basically,
you
oh,
can't, yeah, comparing Fallout 1 and 2 combat to uh to the 3D ones is kind of like apples and oranges because 1
Yeah,
and 2
hmm
they're
is very
two
very
separate
turn-based
game
and like
styles.
yeah,
yeah, and both are like really well polished. Like 4's is like it's super like reactive and 1 and 2 is like if you like that sort of combat then you'll like that too. And it's really well polished in 1 and 2.
okay, so basically, like after, so playing with mods that for New Vegas that adds and stuff like the dynamic crosshair and sprinting, I physically cannot play the game without those anymore. From playing like Fallout 4 so much, because those like little quality of life improvements make such a major impact on the game. Because it's like you wouldn't think being able to run slightly faster would make such a major impact into it, but it does.
The
Because
thing
you
that's
get
wild to me is that Fallout 3 didn't even have iron sights while aiming.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they didn't have... It just blows my mind that, like, they didn't think to add that. The only point I've heard towards why the jankier combat of Fallout New Vegas might be better is that it actually does encourage players to use VATS because it's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't rely on your own aim. You have to rely on assisted aiming from VATS. But even then,
There
that's...
is one thing that I really sad that they lost. It's being able to switch between ammo types and also like losing like the like individual weapons. There's no like anti-material rifle, because that was a really satisfying weapon to find and use, especially with like the different rounds for it, like explosives rounds.
Yeah, like you could use each round for each situation. And it's one of the things where it's like, it's a mechanic that's like, it's not even like harming the game to have. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can coast by in New Vegas not really worrying about the different ammo types. But if you want to
Yeah.
add that extra bit of complexity and maybe play on a higher difficulty, those options are available to the player. Also, one thing you were talking about, the uniqueness of weapons, and I definitely think
Oh
that's
yeah,
a big
'cause
point. Like in New Vegas, while it doesn't have like the legendary weapon system of
yeah,
Fallout 4,
it's got uniques.
it's got unique guns that look
Have
unique.
unique meshes,
Yeah,
like
they
unique
have unique
textures.
meshes.
They look like they were actually made in the Wasteland. They don't look like, oh hey, look, it's a regular laser pistol. It's got a cool name with a star next to it, so you know it's special. No, you have stuff like the survivalist rifle you find like Honest Hearts, and basically with that, it's a 50 caliber service rifle, so it's already different from the base one. But on the buttstock, it's got stop in both English and French, because the user took place in like the occupation of Canada, like in the like before the war. So you got that extra part of world building in with a weapon.
And I feel like that wouldn't be hard to add. I'm not sure about how the development of Fallout 4 went, but it seemed like they had plenty of time to implement stuff
Yeah.
like that.
You can look at stuff like mods, like this one I think it was made by it's either like Wasteland or like Deadpool like 99, but he made a service rifle mod. And basically, it's got their own unique ones that have stuff like unique meshes. Like they have like a Child of Adam one that's got like radar dishes on it. They have like a hippie themed one where it's just all like flower like paint job and everything.
Oh, but bro, if
But-
you want more unique looking weapons and more weapon variety, you
But
better
just craft it.
shell out your
Mhm.
money to the creative.
The Creation Club.
Yeah,
Okay,
Creation Club.
another thing. Allow me to go off for a split second. This
Yeah,
is back
go
to the
off.
anti-material rifle. The anti-material rifle on the Creation Club is utter garbage. They absolutely massacred my boy from New Vegas. The New Vegas anti-material rifle. You could down everything with that. It was so satisfying to use. Because
Yeah.
because you could literally like explode people.
Yeah, you
like,
could do
but-
like a anti-material rifle only game,
Yeah.
especially with mods. We use
Oh yeah.
me and Aiden use a mod called Signature Weapons, and that mod lets you, pick up weapon as a signature weapon, and then the more kills you get with it, you can add various perks to it. It's a bit broken, but also it's super fun for just unique
Yeah.
weapons. Like I did a run where I was just a super strong, dumb melee character who wielded only a lead pipe, and it was pretty fun just running up to people with a lead pipe.
Yeah. Although on the topic of characters, that's the one thing that with Fallout is that the start is always the same. Like when you start a new game, no matter what Fallout, the start is always the same, and that gets boring after a while.
Yeah, people
So, like-
complain about Fallout 4's intro being long and boring. When you've played New Vegas so many
Oh, yeah.
times, you start to realize just how boring it is walking around Doc Mitchell's house. Even though
Mhm.
it probably doesn't take too long in the game, it feels like it takes forever because you've got, like,
Oh,
I just
yeah.
get to a point where I
Like the
mash through
right.
his personality test and pick the
Same.
tag skills
Yeah.
later. Fallout 3 is even worse because you can't. I'm not sure how you could mash through the goat,
Oh yeah.
So up next on our, like, some of the things we want to talk about in this episode is the DLCs of the games. So I've played through all of the Fallout New Vegas DLCs, Point Lookout in Fallout 3, and then all of the story-based DLCs in Fallout 4, which is Far Harbor, Nuka World, and Automatron. And I'd have to say my favorites would probably be Dead Money from Fallout New Vegas and Nuka World from Fallout 4. What about you
Yeah.
guys?
Okay, so I've played through like all of so I've played through all of like the Fallout 3 DLC, New Vegas, and like 4s. So I think like basically like so didn't you say you basically said like your top? You just want me to choose my top 3 favorites?
Yeah, go for top 3, I guess.
Because basically like, my number one favorite is it's gotta be like New Vegas's Old World Blues,
Yeah,
and
Old World
then
Blues is probably my third favorite. I didn't list 3, but it'd definitely be my third favorite. Actually, maybe second
yeah
favorite. It might edge out Nuka World.
yeah, because and then following that, oh god, this is kind of hard. It's gotta be probably the Zayton DLC. I forget
Hmm.
what it's called, but the Fallout 3 Alien DLC.
Isn't it like
Yeah.
Mothership?
It's like Mothership Zeta. That's my second favorite one. It's just really unique.
Yeah, that's
And then
one of the reasons. For as much as I struggle with playing Fallout 3, that's one of the reasons I want to be able to play through it
oh yeah,
eventually, is just for that DLC. What about you,
but
Xander? What are your, like,
Okay,
3
okay.
favorite DLCs?
We got some hot take right here, but
alright.
I would argue that
On
the
this
Fallout
horse.
4 DLC like are amazing. Like all of them, including the like
Oh yeah, like the
workshop
Rube
ones. I love
Goldbergs.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rube Goldberg ones, and like the settlement ones, and then basically the Fallout Shelter, like the what is it, the app game, but except in Fallout 4. Like it's super cool.
Huh.
And like I don't know, Far Harbor and Nuka World both have like some like pretty good like improved RPG aspects and sort
Mhm.
of improve on what happened in Fallout 4. And then like I don't know, like Old World Blues and Dead Money are also like really good in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I love those.
It's
Hmm.
like I literally just recently played through Dead Money. It's like it was good. Like, I was enjoying it, and then up I got to Dean Domino. My game started bugging out because the waypoints are very non-specific. So I had to look. So I actually had to take like Vera's key from like the like this like music stand, like sheet music.
Yeah.
But I was able to access Dean Domino like already apparently. But after I did that, I messed up the progress. I was able to unlock doors, so I basically just had to console command unlock stuff, and it
Hmm.
ended up fixing itself. Like when I went to go see like Christina, so it ended up working out fine in the end until I
Yeah.
got to the vault, which
Yeah.
more bugs happened.
Dead
But those
Money
aren't really.
Dead Money works all the way until that vault section.
Mhm.
That's where it loses me. Like, even though it's like my favorite DLC, that vault section is a struggle every time because it's like everything you hate from the previous sections, like the red radios that like you have to
Yeah.
basically go
Sprint.
moving
Oh, like
constantly to get away from them. And the hologram section in that place is like the hologram sections in the other ones are all right at best.
uh,
It's a bit of a struggle with the curtain call at the Tampico one. I know you
mhm.
didn't really experience that in,
Oh yeah, 'cause
um,
it was bugging out.
yeah, but uh, like the hologram section in the vault is just it's so bizarre. I really don't like it. The final
Okay,
fight with
so
Elijah is fun, but then running back through the entire vault with
mhm.
your collar beeping sucks. It gets to a point where console commands are sometimes honestly more fun way to
Yeah.
end it instead of panicking for your life. But one
Okay.
thing I want to
Um.
bring up is
Good question.
how Far Harbor is Point Lookout but better. It's got like the same setting, story setup, and everything, but just
Mhm.
executes on everything better.
Yeah.
Cause
Alright. So going back to Dead Money for a second.
mm-hmm,
So there's the section with like the holograms, like in the hotel and stuff, or like just in general. So what I did, because you're supposed to stealth around. So what I did when I was discovered, I would just I would just open a door, and basically do it so I was wedged in between the door and the wall, so they couldn't physically see me, and just wait till they de-aggroed.
that is very smart, bro. That's a very
And
large
also,
brain move.
I had to do the lock Elijah in the vault because you know the ray shielding thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that didn't deactivate. So the ray
Like, well,
shielding blocking Elijah
I
from
think
like
it
fighting and
usually
stuff.
deactivates once the turrets are down.
Well, the turrets weren't attacking. That's another thing.
It's
Stuff was
Fallout games
going.
get buggy sometimes.
But that's because they're using an old engine, which is still using from
Yeah,
like all the way
like
from like the first days, like Fallout 3.
yeah, like they've made improvements on the engine,
Yeah.
just like in terms of what it can handle.
But
But
the problem is what it should handle, like
yeah,
stability wise.
it's at the point where they might want to build something new from the ground up instead of
Yeah.
putting layers and layers of janky patches on top of everything. The issue is, I think that may actually harm the modding base, like switching to a new
Oh
engine.
yeah.
But I don't. I wouldn't know exactly since I am not a modder
Yeah.
for Fallout 4. I just partake in the mods.
Same here. So with the DLC for New Vegas, like I stated, like my favorite one has to be the mod Old World Blues, where you travel to where this is being recorded, big empty, which used to be a mountain, like a big like underground research complex.
Before
Till that,
crazy scientists blew it open into a big crater.
yeah, and essentially it's got honestly some of the most engaging fetch quests. That's really all they are. It's the whole DLC is just a fetch quest, but the world building with it. Because like the characters you encounter, they're not humans. Like the thing called a think tank. They're basically all human brains preserved in like robots chassis.
Mm-hmm.
So they really have lost touch with what it is to be like it to be a human.
Yeah.
That's it, really interesting with it. And you also get lobotomized in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what when we say lobotomite, that's what we're referring to. There's a
Yeah,
recurring enemy in the DLC called lobotomites, which are people who have basically had
yeah.
their brains removed.
Because in the DLC story, essentially, because in the main story of Fallout New Vegas, you basically survive being shot in the head. So in the story of New Old Blues, the machine that does the lobotomies, because of that injury, actually did it right for once. So you actually were able to still have intelligence despite. So you're able to actually have a connection with your brain despite not being in your body through weird science mumbo jumbo.
I mean, yeah, that a lot of the DLC is weird science mumbo jumbo, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the perfect like retro future
Mhm.
thing. Like it is if you're like into that sort of like aesthetic or genre, it's like
Yeah.
it's so good. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's super like reminiscent of uh like like pulpy books from like the 40s and
Mhm.
50s and
Yeah.
like and the comedy like in it,
Mhm.
it's like some of the best in any of the series. Just like I think like it's made me audibly laugh like more than a few
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
'cause,
times.
like, 'cause I still remember where it's like because they haven't been a human for like 200 years. Like they refer to like fingers as like, oh, he's got penises as hands, and like there's a speech option where you give one like the middle finger. It's like, oh, one of his pieces on his hands like achieving erection,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
it's
going
like a
along with
pure
the
moment.
sort of schlocky B movie feel, you
Yeah,
literally get transported to the DLC in like by touching a satellite in a drive-in theater.
yeah. 'Cause it's called like midnight like science fiction feature. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure
Yeah,
is
and
what the quest is called.
it's just such a great combination. Like it's so light-hearted compared to a lot of the Fallout New Vegas DLCs.
Yeah, and Fallout New
Um,
Vegas itself, to be fair.
yeah, Fallout New Vegas itself in general. And like you said, the fetch quests work because it's not like you're just going to
Oh yeah.
fetch a random piece of Brotherhood technology in Fallout 4 from some like random bombed out city building for the fifth time. Each location has something else you can do there, at least each
Hmm.
major location. And even the small locations you go to have
Yeah.
interesting stories, interesting things to see, unique robots and characters.
Okay, because there's one where it's this suit called like the it's a stealth suit Mark II where it will talk to you, so it's got voice lines. So the thing is to get fully upgraded, you have to go through different levels of tests. So basically, you go through the same test like 4 times, but getting harder. The thing is, you think this would be like really boring, but the problem is like the reward is actually worth it because like especially when you like the first time playing, you don't know what it's actually going to upgrade it really. And the suit is so good because it actually has a personality of its own essentially.
Yeah,
Such a
like the suit literally talks to you. Like
and
we have some of the lines it says queued up to play, such as
Technically, it's impossible to overdose on painkillers.
like like
like
stuff like
that's
that. with the
Because like it can
characterization.
auto inject you with medics, which is basically a painkiller in this universe, and like stim packs.
Yeah, and stim packs are the like generic healing
Yeah.
item. And it's just like the personality of the suit makes it basically worth it to upgrade it all the way.
And it's like even though it's honestly got pretty trash like armor rating, usually I keep wearing it for a long time. Like if I'm do a vanilla playthrough,
Mhm.
like after completing like Old World Blues, just because it's talks, because it's got more engagement.
Yeah,
It's just
like I got more emotionally attached to that suit than I did to like most of the characters in Fallout 4.
yeah.
What's the king's the dog, the like
Oh,
robot
Oh yeah,
dog
Rex.
companion? Yeah, he's so good. He's my favorite. It's like because like the kings are like they're like just people who found like a Elvis Presley impersonation school, and they like turn it into like a church basically, where they all like dress up like Elvis Presley and like talk and try to be like him, and like it's sort of like a religion slash like gang thing.
because they basically
And
run this area called Freeside, like
Yeah,
yeah,
which
outside
is
of like
the
Vegas.
yeah, it's like the city directly outside the like Vegas Strip, which is like much
Mhm.
more poverty stricken and such. In fact, there's a gate between the Vegas Strip and
And if you
Freeside,
don't
and
have
like
like
you
if you don't
can
have like
like
2,000 caps, you'll literally be like killed if you try to enter.
yeah, insanely gated area. It's not a community because it's the Vegas Strip, so
Just
it like just
casinos.
has casinos and like a hotel and an embassy for the NCR.
Yeah, because although it got a pretty big hit during game development though, they had much more planned for the strip. But yeah,
That's one thing with New Vegas. Like,
yeah.
I was like, sometimes I'll like watch video or like I'll look at like game reviews, and I'll be like, why is New Vegas rated so low on Metacritic? And then I'll remember when it released, it was a
yeah,
disaster.
Yeah, it's super buggy. And then the other thing though was they were only given like 18
it's like
months to
18
create
months.
the
Yeah,
game from ground up.
Well, aside from the
And
engine.
they were yeah, oh, wait, oh yeah, they were given an engine. But they were promised by Bethesda because it was made by Obsidian, which
mm-hmm.
was mostly consisted of the people at Interplay which made Fallout 1 and
The
2.
first Fallout. Yeah,
Yeah, and they told them like if you
get 85.
yeah, if you get 85 on
We got
Metacritic.
84.
Yeah, they'll get like a I think it was a rate or no, it was a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Or and then like maybe the chance to make another game, and they
Mm-hmm.
got an 84 and like nope. But they made like a great game in like 18 months. Like that's
Oh
crazy.
yeah, and it's just like, and think about it, like Bethesda's B team, like Bethesda, like when they're making Fallout 76, but they did use their B team, but it's like you can't compare with like the amount of like crunch like New Vegas had to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have no excuse for like how buggy like 76
And I
was.
think talking about like Bethesda games being buggy, of course, it talks like kind of makes sense why modding is so prevalent on Bethesda games
Yeah, and
because
also
there's
like how bad Bethesda written stories are, which is literally just, oh, go find family member.
mhm.
Ooh,
Yeah,
it's
Bethesda's
like,
all
bruh.
right at setting up like a gameplay and stuff. Like that's
Yeah,
evident in like
like
the
innovating.
Elder Scrolls series and Fallout 4. They know how to do gameplay.
Even Fallout 3.
Mhm. They're pretty all right at like doing storytelling in the environment. Like the
Yeah,
large overall storytelling is
like
where
lore.
they slip a lot. Uh,
Mm,
like Elder Scrolls is just plagued with constant, revision of the lore and stuff.
hmm.
And the Fallout series has plenty of issues, which we
Like
might,
plenty of retcons.
yeah, plenty of retcons and weird character changes, like how Elder Maxon was like being raised by the Lion family, and then
But he comes out a complete like legitimate fascist, even though
yeah, like even
when the
having like a
Lions took control.
stereotypically like fascist haircut. Like I know like don't
Yeah,
judge people off their hair, but like he's got
but
that look to him.
and the way that he acts is basically like the stereotype. Because
Hmm.
the thing is, in the lore, like the Lions, essentially like the Elder Lion, they basically took over the DC chapter of the Village Deal and made it way more focused on helping the people. And that even that a section of that became like outcasts. They call themselves the outcasts. They're sharing too much with like the local savages. So it's like it would make sense if Elder Maxim was raised by like the outcasts, but it just does not fit in with like the morals of like Elder Lions or like Sarah Lions and like their group. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah, they didn't have to like put Elder Maxon as a character, like, or as the like leader of the
Mm-hmm.
Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4. Like, they could have made a brand new
Like
character, but instead they
okay.
decided to
Like
go with
if we,
someone.
so I
So
kind
they
of,
could have made him like a say like a commander.
hmm
So that would make sense. Like he would develop his own ideals on like the codex. So but he wouldn't be like the leader. So like he'd still have like some form of freedom being like a commander like of this like party. Because it makes sense because he's literally just got an airship worth of troops. He doesn't have like the whole like bunker system. Like because they got in Fallout 3 they have control of the Pentagon, and that makes sense for the Elder to be there. But and also like
but just
so it makes more sense for him to say a commander, like logically speaking.
and if you want to talk about like integrating characters from Fallout 3 into
McCready.
Fallout 4, there's McCready, who has some of that like characterization. You know, like he's a rebellious-esque child at not Camp Searchlight, Little Lamplight in Fallout 3, and you can see that into like the kind of work he like ended up doing and like his not hate of stealing from people.
And also like this one interesting feature because in Little Lamplight he swears a lot, but when you encounter him in Fallout 4, he literally actively tries his best not to. It's like he's like trying to become a better person.
And
So that
you
he
find
needs-
out that like he's a father, and like you help him get medicine for his child,
Yeah.
and that plays into his characterization a lot better than how they characterized Elder Maxon.
We move on to mods.
Yeah, so I was talking about this earlier with it being kind of necessary to mod some Bethesda games with them being buggy and such, and that's one of the ways I was able to play through Point Lookout. There's a large conversion mod called Tale of Two Wastelands, which basically allows the player to travel between the Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas Wasteland and enjoy both of those experiences.
Yeah, because basically it starts you out in like the capital wasteland, so you basically play through Fallout 3, and then you play through New Vegas. And the thing is, you like physically cannot get like Fallout 3. Like it's really hard to get it running and support mods like on like the native like Fallout 3 like game. But like since they use basically the same engine, they're able to port it into New Vegas's updated engine, which for some reason can actually run on stuff like Windows 10. For example.
And
so this
like, Fallout
and actually
3
it has
is
Iron
just
Sights as well.
yeah, Fallout 3 is just bizarre because you have to also like
Mhm.
download the extremely
Games for Windows
outdated
Live.
games for Windows Live to get it running.
Mhm.
And mods really do help improve the experience. I mean, I found because it gives you the ability to start in the Mojave Wasteland, and I found
that's a
myself
mod.
doing that more often. And I think
Yeah.
that's just what we were talking about with Fallout 3 being a bit worse in some ways. I just realized through modding why I don't like Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Another thing Fallout 3 is, or not Fallout 3, modding is good for is modding the Fallout games allows you to freshen the experience. Like currently I'm playing with a mod that adds random loot to containers, so
Like
you can
randomly
find like
new weapons and armor.
hmm
Like in any like you can find like a Gatling laser in a trash can.
yeah, and then one that equips enemies with random weapons, which can be, you know, very interesting and disastrous and just helps the gameplay pace, like the progression of your character, much better.
So on the topic of like modding, like I own like Fallout 4 and like all the DLC on PlayStation 4, but I bought it for PC like specifically for mods, because like on PC I've never beaten Fallout 4 like on PC because essentially I just play it for mods.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Fallout 4, it's like I have no drive. There's no drive to beat the story because nothing happens. Like the waste. Basically, once you get the Pridwin, like the Brotherhood of Steel in, nothing new happens in the Wasteland after that point.
Yeah, it's very static.
Mm.
So shifting away from modding a bit, in Fallout New Vegas, like you can sometimes actually feel the effect of what you do. Like people will
Mm-hmm.
talk about it, and like just having characters talk about like ways your
The
character like
NCR
way,
finally took back Nelson.
mm-hmm, like hearing people talk about it and like revere you
Mm-hmm.
in some circles and absolutely
Yeah.
despise you in others. It makes the world feel actively alive.
It's like the reputation system. Like it isn't in Fallout 4, yeah. Like they got rid of the reputation system. Because with it works, you do quests for say like the NCR, and you basically build up reputation with them, and that helps you on with like more of their quests. Cause like there's literally like things where like speech text where you can basically it's called like labeled like NCR. So you're so good, like you have such a good reputation with the NCR that you basically represent them at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Because like this one place called the Mojave Outpost, basically this one character has to like know what you are, and if you don't have like any reputation with the NCR, your only options are like citizen and like courier and I think caravaner.
Yeah.
But if you do have reputation, a new one is added called basically like NCR soldier.
Mm-hmm. And like they'll make comments like, "Oh, it's good. We need
Oh, I
all the
didn't
help we
expect to
can
see like
get."
a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And going back to mods, the
Yeah.
reputation system was so popular. There's this big mod that's being developed called Fallout Miami, where
Hmm.
it's for Fallout 4, and you like travel to the wastelands of Miami, and they're basically re-adding the reputation system because so many people liked it.
Yeah.
Also, Arcadia is another
All right.
one that they're doing that with, I think, and it's that one's I think it takes place in
Like Washington, like
yeah, Washington,
state.
in Seattle, and then there's
Hmm.
also the Fallout 3 in Fallout 4 mod, and then the Fallout New Vegas in Fallout 4
Hmm.
mod.
I thought,
Which they
So
did
there's
get in trouble legally for like using voice
yeah,
asset,
but they've managed to
the
find like ways to
voice
continue both
actors
those
and stuff.
projects because they got temporarily shut down because of that,
Hmm.
and then I
It's
think
really
there's gonna
sad.
be ways that they're gonna do like custom voice acting and stuff like that in
Yeah,
order
mm-hmm.
to.
because they've already like done a demo of like the custom voice actor for Doc Mitchell, and he sounds pretty much like pretty close to him.
Oh yeah,
It's,
also a Fallout. They're also doing a Fallout 2 and Fallout 4 mod as well,
hmm.
so that's pretty cool.
I thought that was in Fallout New Vegas. I think it's
I
Fallout One
mean,
in New Vegas.
those
Hmm.
kind
I don't
of
know.
updating old games in the series to the newest version has happens for basically like, there's probably one for New Vegas and one for Fallout 4 because people keep making those kinds of mods.
So with Fallout 4, I legitimately only play it for the main reasons like gun mods and
Mm-hmm.
like stuff like sim settlements where it basically becomes like a management simulator for like the settlement system and like they can do stuff on their own. So you don't have actually to build settlements, you basically have to manage resources and
Yeah.
stuff. But because like basically I really like weapon mods because Fallout 4 literally has zero variation in like actual base weapons. It's like, ooh, this is a gun with a it's the same gun but a longer barrel.
Heck,
It's like,
even New Vegas, which has much more weapon variations, still feels like much better when you add
oh
weapon
yeah.
mods. It just adds that variety to the wasteland.
It's like discovering a new thing, even if it's like something that wouldn't make sense for like to be in Fallout, like modern
Mm-hmm.
weapons, like say
Like an AK.
like yeah, other like just like an M4 like soap mod, like this bit like the one with the suppressor and stuff, but it's still like it's fun to use.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
and it's just very fun because like also sometimes you just don't know about certain things, and it's fun
Hmm.
to be like, ooh, what's this gun? I've never heard of
Yeah,
this before, and then you shoot it, and it turns out it's explosive, and you're very shocked.
and it's just finding out which ones are better and which ones are worse and like what situations. Hmm. I'm not sure which one had that problem more. Like the like one gun for every situation was it like New Vegas or Fallout 4? Fallout 4 basically kind of forced you into using multiple different guns. And also, I don't like what they have to say. It's like to actually make any automatic weapon viable, you need the automatic weapons perk. Otherwise, they're physically useless for how much ammo they use.
That's one thing actually I think Nuke World had interesting in it. It was
Yeah, where you need like those perks to make like add like expanded drums or like better automatic receivers.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that makes some sense.
And it meant, although it meant by the time you had things fully upgraded,
Yeah, it was
they were
basically useless.
insanely powerful. Like the
Oh, yeah.
cowboy pistol
Sorry.
in that game. It's like a cowboy pistol from a kid's theme park that was given to like actual kids supposedly, and it's like an insanely powerful handgun that is like more powerful than an explosive weapon when entirely upgraded.
Hey, I mean, they had you could call it dark for the parents. They literally they say it's 40% alcohol.
Yeah, and in real life they tried making Nuka-Cola Dark, and it was a
It's
disaster.
literally just a trash plastic shell for pre-order. It was like a no, it was a separate product, but it was like basically made around Fallout 76. But we're gonna
Fallout
avoid
76 had a lot of issues with side products to pump up
Yeah.
its release.
that. IKEA bag jacket, like the
IKEA
Fallout
bag
suit jacket,
jacket.
literally looked like an IKEA bag.
Hmm.
Because like the modeled version literally was wrinkled, and with the yellow stripes with that like the shell, it just looked like you took like one of those like blue bags from IKEA and just made a coat out of it.
But I don't think we're gonna get into that. It's
Yeah,
been discussed to
it's,
death.
it's probably something like would be later on,
Yeah, we can
later
definitely talk about,
episode.
especially when we talk about like real world
Aesthetics.
stuff.
Let's get back to modding, like the subject
Yeah.
of modding.
Well, are there any other significant mods to talk about? I think.
Honestly, for mods, like, I'm not a huge mod guy. Like, that's one thing I've never really like done. I've always been sort of a play the game.
Vanilla.
Like, I've always played the game vanilla. Yeah, I don't typically don't install mods. I did
Yeah.
for Fallout 4, but it was usually just like quality of life or like just like new weapons or armor. But I never really did for New Vegas or 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause
I never
I think-
was a
oh,
mod
you go.
guy, and then I got New Vegas on PC, and obviously that does change things a bit. But it's just like at first it was just stability stuff, but like once you've done so many playthroughs of the game, you need something to keep it fresh. Like I can only play Dead Money so many times before I get tired of it.
Yeah, because like unlike with me, every single game basically I've played, if I can mod it, I have modded it. I don't know. It's just that I have ape brain. Oh, no new content, me get bored. And also another thing with moment where me get bored is like in Fallout is when I get too powerful and you literally just don't find anything else new. Which is another like reason for mods, because you can get more powerful stuff to keep stuff fresh. Like, and also stronger enemies. Okay, that's one of my favorite mods for Fallout 4. It's called like the Deadly Commonwealth. It adds basically like beefs up enemies as a bunch more like kinds. So like it makes enemies actually scary to fight. It
Yeah.
adds these things called like Raider Juggernauts,
Like
which have like super sledges or miniguns.
yeah, in
And they
base
take so
Fallout
much.
in base Fallout 4, even death claws get trivial.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
in New Vegas,
you-
even when my character is as powerful as possible, death claws terrify me.
Mm-hmm. They can kill you in like 3 hits no matter what armor you're wearing. While like
Yeah,
in
I have,
Fallout
like,
4, you kill a Deathclaw like 15 minutes into the game for the main quest.
And
It's
it
like,
just
bruh.
invalidates
away how
sort of the
scary they are.
impact.
Because it'd be much better if you found one like in the wild. You're like, what is that? I don't know how effective it is. Let's see if I can kill it. And you get absolutely destroyed by it. You know, that was a bad idea.
Yeah, by like the end of my most recent Fallout 4 playthrough, I would just go into like the not the divide,
The glowing sea.
glowing sea, and just destroy any enemy I came across. Okay,
Yeah.
there isn't an inverse problem though in Old World Blues where the enemies get insanely tanky.
Like lobotomites, especially like if you do it low leveled. Like lobotomites take a lot to take down.
Robo Scorpions are a nightmare.
Oh yeah, even with like a pretty well statted character, it still takes a lot to take one of those down.
Like
And they
unloading.
basically flood-
so much.
And they basically flood the facility like after you complete the objective. The facility usually gets like almost like flooded with like robo scorpions.
So, do we have too much more to talk about, or I think we can start wrapping this episode up?
Wrapping it up.
No,
Yeah.
it's been good.
So, all right. So we need to ask Lobotomite. Are you still here?
Yeah, Lobotomite.
Yeah.
Okay, so as an NCR trooper, I have a very deep philosophical question that I need to discuss with you.
Okay.
Does patrolling the Mojave almost make you wish for a nuclear winter?
On occasion.
See, I think that this is a very deep statement that requires a lot of insight
Yeah,
because
we'll have to get the opinions of our other guests from the show, for the show
eh,
on, and
because
perhaps
basically patrolling the Mojave making you wish for a nuclear winter. See, I'm from California, like I'm from like down lower, like near Baja or something. Basically, I don't know what winter is. I just know it's supposed to be cold, so that's pretty cool. But
hmm
what about the people like from like upper California that know what winter is? Think about the philosophical ramifications in society
yeah,
in
in
that statement.
society. Do you want to help me get this lobotomite out of the station, bro?
Uh, yeah, like how? What do you mean out? Um,
We'll discuss that. And as for our audience,
okay,
it's been
okay.
good. Hopefully you enjoyed this enough to tune in for the next episode on this playlist.
Yep.
Uh,
Death to the Legion.
and stay healthy.